This is The Well Within, a podcast for quiet leaders, cycle breakers, and pioneers, ready to move beyond surface-level self-help and rediscover who they truly are. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Ellie. We're a mother-daughter duo helping you untangle inherited and societal conditioning.
If you felt the pressure to hold it all together, fix yourself, or prove your worth, you're not alone.
This space invites you to return to who you were before the world told you who to be.
And reconnect to your well within.
Because the way forward isn't out there, it's within.
Hello and welcome to this week's Well Within. We are absolutely delighted to be here with Nat. Now, let me get this right. Couropmitree. I just know him as Nat, and we love Nat. Yeah, I first met you, Nat, on Helen Amory's Healthfig community. I'm sure that was where we met. And I always feel, I was thinking before, I always feel full after I've spoken to you, just full of love and you're always a joy to speak to. And you're very calming, very inspiring, and it's just a delight. I've learned so much from you about myself. It's just, and I've loved I can remember when you did your circles and I came along a couple of times, and I was a bit sort of resistant at first. And then it was just such a joy to be there and just be able to be so present, and that feeling of just love in the room. The space was just, something I can't really obviously explain because it was just the whole feeling. So thank you so much for being here. It's a joy to have you here today on our podcast. I would love to, just ask you, first of all, what you do, how you serve people, and whereabouts are you in the world?
I'll start with where I am in the world. Seems simplest. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, in the U.S., and I've been out here for, I'd say 3 years now. 30 years now, which is a lot longer than I anticipated. As far as what I do two things. One is I do web design now, and kind of local search engine optimization stuff. But then I also do what I'll call coaching, but it's more of like inviting people to live with curiosity and compassion, and to deepen their trust in themselves and surrender more to life.
Love that.
Yeah. I really love how it's the trust, and you talk about the trust in their self. Could you just explain a little bit about how you help people finally see who they truly are and their true self, and why I guess you think it's important that people see that?
Yeah, there are different ways, different like doors into it, right? And it all depends on the individual. Some people have an understanding of like the true self, but maybe it's a more of an intellectual understanding, and then it can get heady for them, right? They're like, oh, well, I have to connect to my true self, blah, blah, blah. But I think ultimately the path would be like remembering or like sensing the okayness that is here. And the different metaphors for that, whether that's like I kind of like the deep ocean metaphor of like imagining or feeling as if you are the ocean. And feeling kind of like being deep in that ocean, being deep in the ocean, but you are the ocean sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So like you're not being thrown around by it, but you're just kind of moving with what is. I mean, that's one way. Another would be to invite people to become aware of what is aware, right? So that
Mm.
is, I have some people ask me, like, how do I get out of my head? I've been trying all my life how to get out of my head. I'm like, well, it's simple. It's becoming aware that you have thoughts and then being aware of that awareness that's aware of the thoughts. And then you're no longer in your head, right? So it's simple, but it's not always easy, depending on where someone is. And I think that's probably yeah, again, the simplest way to recognize that we are more than what is here. We are more than what we're feeling, or experiencing. We are that awareness that is aware of all of that.
Yeah, I like what you said about sort of, some people, yeah, and some people just so easily kind of go, oh yeah, and fall, can see that fall into, and then sometimes it does take that little bit longer to, as I say, come out of the intellect and just really, but then it's like, it's just such a, like, falling into that ocean.
Yeah, and I think more recently I've come to recognize that it's an inclusive space.
Mm.
Where in the past I would often think of the separation of, like, well, there's the spiritual me and then there's the human me, and then there were like these thoughts and these emotions, and that I had to somehow quarantine all the negative emotions,
Mm,
all
mm,
the things that I didn't like, in order to be in this pure space. And that never brought me any peace. It was
mm,
just a whole lot of hypervigilance to try to micromanage everything to feel okay. In recent years, I've come to realize, like, oh, I can allow what I'm feeling to be here. I can allow the thoughts to be here. I can allow my fears to be here in the space. Also
mm,
recognizing that in that space there may be noise, there may be stillness, there may be calmness, all in the same space, but aware of all of it, and including all of it allows me to have a great deal of groundedness and
mm.
centeredness and peace.
Lovely. And yeah, we're interested to hear more. I don't know whether you're kind of still using this sort of resistance release process, these sessions that you offer. Would you like to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, the resistance release technique sessions that I offer came out of this understanding that we just talked about, of welcoming it all. Because I used to think that in order for me to feel at ease, I had to somehow manage, or all the things that I didn't prefer. And I would engage in things to, whether it was thinking, like, I don't know, mindset stuff. Like, I thought I had to change my beliefs.
Mm,
I thought that I had to become someone else, uh, to be able to handle life and be at peace. I thought that I had to, all the external stuff, right? Like, make more
mm,
money or be successful or look a certain way in the eyes of other people. I thought I had to do all this to feel okay. And, and what I discovered is all those ways that I thought I had to do were ways that I avoided discomfort. And I saw very clearly that, for a lot of my life, I avoided life. And I would gravitate toward things that were easy or that felt good, but everything that felt hard or uncomfortable or confrontational, I would say not now or never too. Um,
yeah.
and the resistance release technique came about with my own procrastination. I was trying to, I had this inspiration. I wanted to record a video and I wanted to post it. And I had this whole mental negotiation going on. within me of like, well, just record and post it. And then there's like, no, not right now. I'm hungry. I should go eat something. Like, oh, it's just like this simple thing. What about the captions? And how do I navigate that? It just became this huge ordeal. And I knew I'm like, oh, I'm procrastinating, but I didn't
Mm.
know how to move through it. And so I sat down with myself and I sat down with like a framework that I had developed and asked myself questions. And while asking the questions and being with the discomfort that came up in my body, allowing it to be there, breathing through it, within 20 minutes of creating the process and going through it myself, I recorded that video and posted it with no resistance. And it was like
Mm.
this like eye-opening thing, like, oh my God, what is this? And from that point on, I reached out to other people and I said, hey, I created this thing, it worked for me, this is what happened, but I don't know if it works for anyone else. And so it worked. It worked for other people in various, whatever they had, like they wanted to exercise more, they wanted time to plan their meals, or they wanted to uh, bring a new body of work into the world. Like in all those cases, they were somehow procrastinating or avoiding this issue. And through my process, they gained freedom and they were able to follow through.
Sounds like
Yeah.
there's procrastination
Yeah.
with our podcast.
We could have done with one of those sessions at that point. I should have called you.
Oh, dear.
So I think we've spoken a little bit already about your personal journey, and I think it really does kind of echo ours somewhat. Obviously we've discussed our paths have crossed along the way, but was there sort of a particular experience or insight that maybe helped you connect deeper with your sort of sense of purpose in life and kind of what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that looking back, I was always living my purpose, but I didn't trust in that. I was what I often say, living or seeing life or seeing myself through a filter, and I was someone that searched a lot, but it was only because I didn't trust that I was living my path. It was only in hindsight I could see through all the breadcrumbs and all the stops along the way, like, oh, I'm living my purpose.
Yeah.
Um, I would say I don't know if there was any one thing because I explored a lot, I explored human design, or I would get like readings, or I would, explore different paths of doing work. I would say that probably the thing that produced the most clarity was slowing down and just being present with stillness, and then being able to see myself more clearly through the conditioning, dropping that conditioning and seeing myself clearly. Because again, I get looking back, I can see that I was always living my purpose. I just questioned it, right?
Mm.
I judged it as not enough. It doesn't measure up to how other people are living or how I thought other people were living. I put parameters on how I thought it should be, and because it wasn't meeting up with that, then obviously I wasn't living my purpose. But when all of that falls away, I could see that, oh, I've been living it all along. I mean, it is even
Mm.
so much as like I remember looking back at old content that I had written and seeing like, oh, it's like I don't know if you ever had this situation where you have this bright idea and you're writing something, you're like, oh yeah, this is so different, this is a huge shift from what I've always been doing. And
Mhm.
then, going back and finding something else you've written or something else you put out there that you forgot, and you're like, oh, this is very similar but it's different.
Yeah.
And it's that thing. It's like I don't know. It's like you forget that. Oh, you've
Mm.
been doing this. This is the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It's just that I have more clarity now, and I
Yeah.
have more confidence in what I'm doing. And so, because I'm showing up differently, it has more impact.
Mm. Yeah. I'm kind of hearing that it's this sort of other level. There's always another level of, yeah, of that consciousness, of that sort of awareness, of being aware that it feels, yeah, just again, okay, yeah. It feels, it's hard to describe because nothing's really changed, but it feels like a lot, yeah, a lot has changed. You're just
Yeah.
seeing things so much clearer. Yeah.
Yeah. And I resonate a lot with what you were saying about the comparison piece because I feel like, yeah, especially since sort of university and graduating and everything, I constantly used to compare myself to my friends and what they were doing. And if I wasn't, doing kind of or achieving what they were achieving, I was for some reason failing or not doing enough. And it always felt like, yeah, there was more to be doing. And it was a lot of like doing and effort. And there was so much resistance to that because that in hindsight was not in alignment with my purpose.
Yeah.
I love the trust piece that you is because I think, yeah, for me, it has taken that trust in trusting what I'm feeling, the right, it's not the right feeling, but that, that this is, yeah, no, this is okay to follow this. It is okay. And then when it does, it's not like, oh, tick, done, I feel better now. It's just, no, that does feel right, and you can trust that. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that comes up when you guys are sharing is around trust is that sometimes in life, in particular in my life, growing up as a guy that was sensitive and emotional, and then kind of being conditioned to believe that that's not okay. So
Mm.
then that led to a lot of doubt in terms of the value I brought because Jackie, you were saying earlier about like my presence and the impact that
Mm.
has. And I had a huge doubt about that because it's like, well, how is this bringing value? I have to be, like you were saying, Ellie, I have to be doing more. And so it's like I wasn't valuing the softer sides, the presence, some of the more like feminine
Mm.
qualities, feminine consciousness or feminine energies, the intuition, the all of that I didn't value as much. And then because of that, I was overcompensating by the doing.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. But okay, so we know that you love to travel and you love adventure. Has it always been like that for you?
It's
No.
always been that way for me. I didn't know that that was always the case. Like I just remember as when I was younger, I was always keen to take trips and invite my
Mm.
friends like, hey, let's just get in the car and drive to this beach in another state. And I think that maybe part of it is that my parents loved to travel and they would take us on different trips, but who knows whether like which came first, whether that was just
Mm.
part of my makeup and that, the trips that we took kind of supported that. But when I think of travel, I light up. Like if there's a sense of freedom, I love exploring and I love discovering new things and seeing things differently.
Mm.
Uh, and I think travel provides that for me. I love beauty as well. So beauty is something that really fuels me. So, some people it's kind of a metaphor for life where a lot of people are so focused on the end goal and they do whatever they can to get to the end goal. And I'm for that, but I also like to pause along the way to notice what's good and what's beautiful. And so, like, if I go hiking with my family, I'm usually the last one in the group because I'm always stopping and just like, oh, look at that, and I'm taking pictures, and isn't that nice? And sometimes I don't know, it's just same like with the sunset. Like you could take a million pictures, each one looks different, but when you look at it, the pictures later, they're not all that different. But it's just something that I feel when I'm in presence of some beauty that I'm like, oh, I'm trying to capture this somehow.
You have to take a mental snapshot because it's never as good on the
Yeah,
camera, is it?
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that. Yeah, I feel these people that have their bucket list. They're fine having, a list of places, but I don't know. Sometimes you don't, is it just about ticking them off that, you sort of want to go there, but
yeah. Yeah, I think, well, a big thing about who I am and what I care about is depth. And so when I travel, it's never about checking something off. And I think that's
yeah.
what I love about that beauty as well, is like I could sit there
Mm,
and take it in. And
mm,
for instance, like I love Portugal and I've been there at least 3 times. And there's always something new to see, even if it's the same city. I've changed, the city has changed, right? I mean, maybe I don't go to the same places, but there's so much more to explore. So I don't even think of like a bucket list. I don't have a bucket list. I just have places that I'm drawn to go and I want to visit.
yeah.
Hello. And we know another one of your hobbies and loves is tango. So we just wanted to chat to you a little bit about that and just understand where your passion for tango began and where it comes from. How has tango changed for you now that you're kind of more aligned with who you really are?
So I think I want to start before tango. When I first came to Boston for grad school, I started ballroom dancing. And ballroom dancing was something new for me. I always wanted to dance when I was younger, but I was so self-conscious that even when people taught me, I'm like, no, this looks stupid. I'm going to look stupid. I can't do this. Ballroom dance offered some level of structure for me. And even when I started, I was really self-conscious, super shy. I didn't want to ask anyone to dance. But over time, it broke me out of a shell of that self-consciousness. I felt more alive. I felt more connected. I had a natural talent for dance that surprised me. People often saw me dance and I was amazed, like they thought I was good, because I was still living in that filter of like, oh, I'm not good. Uh, but it didn't matter. It really brought me alive. So then years later, my wife and I started taking Argentine tango lessons. And initially it was just because we wanted to perform and I don't know, some reason my wife signed us up for lessons. And it's been 9 years now, I think, since
Wow.
we first started. At first the ballroom gave us some leg up in terms of learning, but at the same time, there are differences in like the dance hold and movements, and there's a lot more subtlety in Argentine tango. The presence comes in big, and listening through the body comes big for Argentine tango. So I think what I love most about tango is that it helps me see how I show up in life. And,
Mm,
initially I could see like, oh, if I'm in my head that I'm not connected to my body, then it's really hard to connect to my partner. And then we're just kind of pushing around each other, which is no fun for anyone. right? Or blaming the other person for what's not working, which again, like any relationship, is not ideal, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and then definitely went through roller coasters in terms of like, why am I doing tango? And a lot of that had to be do with my own insecurities, um, and that sort of thing. But I'd say I've come to a place now where I understand why I tango, and what the purpose, because they say like tango is life, and it's that same thing of tango helps me see how I show up. But there's that level of presence and connection with another person and with myself, and desiring to um, bring more of that into the dance. And I would say that it's like, again, it's like life. Like we can focus on the steps in life, the things we do, but that by itself is not fulfilling, right? But when we bring ourselves into it and bring more presence and awareness and connection, then the steps that we've been doing just have more life to them, more fulfillment. And that's what tango does for me. And obviously, the more conscious, more awareness that I lean into, the better that I can bring it into tango, and vice versa.
Great metaphor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, lovely. Which, yeah, brings us nicely to that question about living from your well within. We kind of see it as sort of a almost like a navigation sort of tool, but if we're feeling sort of caught up, or we're feeling that yeah, there's something that we kind of need to make us, to get us into a certain state, or get something from something outside of us. It's a sort of, okay, let's come back, let's just sort of we're out of alignment here. It's almost like, yeah, the gift is there, that we're just lost a little bit. And it kind of reminds me of what you said at the beginning about the ocean, and feeling that, just almost like riding the wave. We have to just be with everything to, yeah, just to be aware that we can take, the good and the bad. We don't even have to label it as good or bad, but and that's what we kind of love to explain with the well within. So what would your kind of definition of the well within be? I know you said about the ocean, and what would you kind of, how would, if you were sort of out of alignment, is there anything that kind of that you would use to bring you back to that well within?
What comes to mind for me is becoming present. So we say that a lot. The way that I do that is I start to notice what's around me, and what is like tangibly here, right?
Mm.
Because I notice that often when I don't feel well, where I'm like suffering, is when I'm in
Mm.
my head, out out of this current moment. I'm
Mm.
living a narrative within my head, um, and I'm feeling the my body's response to that narrative that I've just created. But if I bring myself to the moment, I realize in most cases I'm actually perfectly okay, right?
Yeah.
Like I might be driving. I mean, I noticed this when I was doing rideshare. I was a rideshare driver, and um, it would be a beautiful day. It's sunny. It's warm. It's like springtime. Flowers are blooming, and I'm in my head like, why am I driving? This stinks. I should be doing something else. Blah blah blah. And I'm totally miserable, eh, but also totally not present to what is here.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I drop that story for the moment and start to notice, like, I'm in a car, it's sunny out, I'm sitting here, I'm warm in the car. Uh, I'm comfortable in the car. I can feel my feet. Look at the flowers. Then that brings me here.
Yeah.
And then I remember, oh, it's okay. Right now, it's okay. And as long as I'm not resisting the moment and
Mm,
in some other
mm,
story, I'm
mm,
actually okay.
mm,
And that's when I start to notice more the nuances as well. Like, oh yeah, there are sound, but there's quiet. There's movement, but there's also stillness, all in the same space. Going back to that inclusiveness we talked about before, the welcoming it all.
mm,
When I
mm.
bring myself to this moment and notice what's tangibly here, what I can actually notice, everything else that was causing me suffering falls away.
Mm. Yeah. And it is so simple. I think that's the thing. This conversation, it is simple, but it's not easy to kind of see until kind of it is started to be seen and noticed. And yeah. And then once it is, it's just it can't not be.
Yeah.
It's yeah, another level again.
Now I think it's easier to reconnect with my well within, but I definitely feel in the beginning I almost was I felt maybe slightly frustrated with myself, and then the more you get frustrated with yourself being out of alignment, the longer you stay out of alignment, ironically. But yeah, I think the more I kind of trust that that's always there, and I know I'll always find my way back there, the more it's been a bit of a dance, and I don't have as much on it when I'm out of alignment as I used to, for sure.
Bit of a tango.
A bit of a tango.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I often think about how I taught this class once, and I invited everyone to laugh. And and I said, I invited them to laugh every day for 5 minutes. And one person said, but Nat, don't you think that's a lot to laugh for 5 minutes? I'm like, well, maybe, but then like consider all the other time that you allow for worrying and frustration. Like, why
Yeah.
is that more loud than the laughter? And it's only because it's habit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you're saying, Ellie, is so true. It's like if we can allow more time for us to be connected, to be in that space of well within, whether that's laughter or smiling or stillness or whatever, then it's more accessible. That the doorway is open and we can. It's just like driving to the store, right? You drive to the store often enough, you can just drive there without using any sort of GPS. It just becomes a
Yeah.
natural thing. But if you stop going for a while and you go somewhere else, then maybe it doesn't feel as comfortable. Maybe you might have to pull out the GPS, or maybe you still go, but it just in your body it feels like, oh, well, what if I mess this up? Right? So
Yeah.
it's the same thing with feeling that well within. It's always here. It's just that we're not used to resting in it. We're used
Yeah.
to reacting to everything else.
Yeah. I love that. Oh. Well, we could definitely stay here and talk to you for hours and ask you a million more questions. But in the interest of time, yeah, obviously we'll conclude the conversation. But Nat, is there anything that you would like to add before we end? And if people are intrigued and want to know more about how to work with you, where's the best place for people to go?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me. I would love to continue talking with you guys for hours on end. I love conversations like this.
Mm.
Um, but we'll leave it for another time. People can find me online at inquisitivejourneys.com. That's my website, and that's likely the best place.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nat. It's been wonderful having you here to share you with everyone. So what we'll do is we'll put everything in the show notes below, and then people can reach out to you. However, if there's anything that our lovely listeners would love to share, they've heard anything or would any questions answered, we would love for you to hear from you. If you just reach out to us at hello@thewellwithin.co.uk. And thank you so much, Nat. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. It's been such a good conversation, and I've loved all your metaphors.
Yes.